Okay, we're going to take a look at Chapter 7 today. And Chapter 7 deals with the regions, extrude, and solid modeling. Learning objectives are going to learn 2D extrusion method to create solid models, understand and create regions, edit 3D geometry with the move and rotate commands, examine the mass properties of solids, and understand the concepts of boundary representation modeling approach. Okay, AutoCAD has a bunch of different modeling methods, and we looked at one. We looked at the CSG method that we'll probably not use very often unless you get into complex shapes like designing cars or something like that. Another one is called boundary representation or BREP approach. It defines a model in terms of its edges and surfaces. Two of the most important solid construction operations are extrude and revolve. The extrude and revolve option can be used to convert two-dimensional filled polygons into 3D solid models. This concept of using two-dimensional sketches of the three-dimensional features proves to be an effective way to construct solid models. Okay, so let's go into AutoCAD. Okay, and we're going to open up our inch template. I'm going to go to the top view. You can type in perspective 0, okay, because it may look like this, which we don't want. So we'll do perspective 0, and we're going to put on the construction layer. Okay, we're going to create a rectangle. So I'm going to go up here to rectangle. I'm just going to pick any spot. I'm going to type in at 3, 2.25. Okay, so we have a rectangle 3 by 2 1/4. Alright, now what we're going to do here is we're going to create the profile of this object. We're just going to draw it. This is one way of drawing it. You don't have to draw it this way. The chapter is teaching you some other things that you may not know. So it doesn't matter how we do it. We draw the drawing, and then what we do is we convert it into a boundary or a region. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this up. So I'm going to go up here to copy. I'm going to click the object. I'm going to pick the lower right hand corner, and I'm going to type at 0.75. So now I have 2. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is take the one that we just did, the one that we just copied. I'm going to go to rotate. Okay, up here. Under rotate, I'm going to click on the one that we just copied. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to pick this lower right hand corner of that one, and I'm going to rotate it 30 degrees. Okay, so I have something like this. Okay, and we're just going to use this so we can draw correctly. Okay, we're just going to use this to draw our basic outline shape. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to go here to our polar tracking. We're going to go to tracking settings, and we're going to make sure this is on 30. We're going to track orthogonally only, however you say that, and we're going to make this polar measurement absolute. Okay, they also want us to go to object snap here, and they want us just to have on endpoint, intersection, not that it's going to hurt anything, and extension, and I'm going to pick OK. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is we're going to draw our object. So I'm going to go up here to object, okay, and I'm going to draw the features of it. So I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to go from here to here to here to here, and then I'm going to go off on that angle until I get to the intersection right here, and I'm going to pick C for close. Okay, so now we have our basic object. Okay, alright, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to turn off the construction layer because we don't need it anymore. And there we have the basic shape of our V block. I didn't mention that that is on page 7-2 is what we're drawing. We did draw this before, okay, so we're drawing it a little different this time. Okay, all right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to create a region. Now we can, if we extrude this, okay, just like we did last chapter, that would extrude these four up. So if I go here, let's take a look. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to go back to southeast isometric, and I pick extrude, and I pick these 4 lines, 5 lines, okay, and I extrude that up 2 inches. Okay, notice what I have here now is not a solid object. Okay, I've got just the shell here. Okay, so there's 2 different ways that we can do this. Okay, one, I could go in here and make this a polyline. So I could do P-edit, can grab this one or any of them. It says it's not a polyline, you want to turn it into it, say yes, and then join all these together. Join this one, actually just easy to grab them all. Okay, and then enter. Okay, so now it's a polyline. If I go to southeast isometric view again, and now I extrude this, notice it's one entity now. Okay, now when I extrude it up, you can see that it's going to be a solid. Okay, the last way to do it, let's see, back to here, okay, is use the region command. Okay, it's under draw, and then I have to find it. I think it's right here, the one with the hole in the middle. Grab everything, and if I'm on realistic, you'll see that it becomes filled in. Okay, I'm just going to change this back to 2D wireframe. Okay, I'm going to go to southeast isometric. So you want to do that, and now I'm going to extrude it. And I'm going to extrude that up 2 inches. Okay, so here we have our basic shape of our V block. Now what we have to do is we have to rotate it 90 degrees. So we're going to go into 3D rotate. Okay, we're going to pick the object that we want to rotate, which is this object. Okay, I'm going to hit enter. Okay, the base point is going to be this section, this point right down here, this end point here. Okay, now I'm going to go around the x-axis because I'm rotating this counterclockwise this way, so I'll go to the red axis and I will type in 90. Okay, now I have my basic shape here. Again, if I go to hidden, you'll see that it is a solid object, or if I go to realistic, or if I go to shaded with edges, okay, all those will show. But we want to be in 2D wireframe because we're going to need some of these points here to draw our next lines. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the 2 cutouts here in the front. Alright, so I'm going to draw a line. Okay, now let's see, I want to make sure that I'm right here, and I'm going to type at, whoops, I'm going to pick from, pick this point here, and I'm going to do at 0, 0.75. So I'm going 0 in the x direction, 0.75 in the y direction. Hit enter. Okay, so now I have a line starting there. I'm going to go, and you'll see here's the intersection, and I want to go and make this line pass there. Okay, I still want to make sure I'm on that angle. Okay, it should be 240. And I want to make this about 1.3. You see my little cursor there. It doesn't matter. Just want it about there. And I'm going to click there. Okay, then I'm going to come 90 degrees this way, or 0. Okay, I'm going to highlight right here till it says endpoint, use my polar tracking. And I'm going to pick that one. And then I'm going to finish it right there. Okay, so I have a little triangle here. We're going to use that triangle to cut out those 2 edges. Alright, so I'm going to take and I'm going to mirror this to the other side. Now I could do a 3D mirror, or I can just do a nice 2D mirror, and I'm just going to do a 2D mirror here. The only difference is in the 3D mirror you would pick a 3rd point for the height. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to mirror, which is right here. I'm going to pick those 3 lines. I'm going to hit enter. Now I want to pick the midpoint. Okay, now again, they had us turn off the midpoint, so I'm going to hold down my shift, right click, and I'm going to pick the midpoint right here. Okay, and then I'm going to right click and pick the midpoint right here. And you want to erase it? No, I do not. Okay, so now that we have both of those, now what we have to do is we have to create them or make them into solids. So I'm going to use the region command. Okay, and I'm going to pick those objects. Okay, and I'm going to hit enter. Now you'll notice down here it was 2 loops were extracted and 2 regions were created. So I have a region here and a region here. Okay, I'm going to take and I'm going to extrude those. I'm going to go to extrude, pick this one, and this one. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to drag it up, and I'm going to go up 2.5. Okay, so now we have our cutouts that we're going to put there, and what we're going to use now is we're going to subtract. Okay, so up here, second one down, you'll see is subtract. I'm going to pick the object I want to subtract from, and then the objects I want to subtract from, or I want to select the objects I want to subtract. Okay, so we have our basic shape here. Okay, we're going to go up and we're going to look at the mask properties of this. So we're going to go up to tools. Again, if you do not have tools here, hit this little down arrow. Down here where mine says hide menu bar, yours will say show menu bar. Okay, so I'm going to go to tools. I'm going to go to inquiry. Okay, and I'm going to go to region mask properties. I'm going to select this object here, and I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so now you'll see that the mass, okay, this is 9.247. I'm going to write that down in case I ever need that. 9.2470. Okay, you'll see the volume, of course, is the same thing. Okay, and we'll just hit enter to continue and hit escape. Excuse me. Okay, so we can find moments of inertia. We can see the radii of gyration, whatever that is. Okay, but now what we're going to do is we're going to create the V block here. So we need to change our UCS, and using this method, we must keep changing our UCS whenever we go to draw anything. Okay, if I were going to draw a hole, for example, over here on this edge right here, if I go up to circle now, draw a hole, okay, obviously it's on the XY location, so I'd have to go up here and I'd have to go to the right view, okay, and then, whoops, I'd have to go to the front view, sorry, okay, and then my hole would be in the right location. Okay, so we need to create a UCS on this angle. Okay, so we're going to go up to tools and we're going to go to new UCS and we're going to pick the face. Okay, I'm going to pick the face right here. Okay, and I'm going to pick this face. You'll see whichever face I go to, you'll see that it will move around. So I'm going to pick this face right here, and I'm going to pick accept. Alright, now what I need to do is I need to change the origin of my UCS. Okay, now up here, this one here, I believe is the origin right here. So I'm going to click origin, and I want the origin to be this endpoint right here. Okay, so you notice my X and Y is still going along there, but now my origin is changed to this endpoint right here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this around the Z-axis, okay, so that it's on the correct angle when I draw my V in here. So I'm going to go up the middle one, hit the little down arrow, and this is to rotate the UCS. Okay, and here's X, Y, and I'm going to pick Z. Okay, and it wants to know what we want to rotate, and I'm going to rotate negative 45 degrees and hit enter. Now our UCS is at the correct angle. Okay, I'm going to draw a rectangle for our V cutout there. Okay, so I'm going to go to rectangle. Okay, for the rectangle. For the first point, I'm going to shift right click from this endpoint here. I'm going to type in at, let's see, 0.2 less than 45. Hit enter. For the second point, I'll hold the shift from this point here, and I'm going to type in at 0.2 less than -135 and hit enter. Okay, so here is my rectangle. Now, since we drew a rectangle, that is a polyline, and we don't need to make a region out of it. Okay, rectangles, circles, we don't need to make a rectangle out of, a region out of. Okay, I'm going to extrude this, hit enter. I can go anywhere past there. I'll subtract from the big one, subtract the little one. Okay, and there I have my object. Okay, I'm going to put my UCS back at world. Okay, I'm going to go up to tools again, and I'm going to go to inquiry, and I'm going to go to region mask properties, click on there and hit enter. Now you'll notice that my mask properties, it was 9.2470. It's now 7.5715 because we've cut this away. Okay, let me show you a couple more things that's not on here, but just want you to know how to do it. Okay, let's say that this was sitting on a platform. Okay, just like a rectangle. Now I could draw the rectangle, okay, and then draw this on the side. But what I could do is I could go my UCS, change it to front, okay, and I could draw a rectangle, okay, saying that's the size right there. Well, it's not going to work on that. So let's see. Okay, I'm going to hold the shift, right click and pick nearest. So I pick somewhere close to there, so I'll do it right to there. Okay, now what I would do is I would extrude just that rectangle, and I could extrude it that way. Okay, I could then take and mirror it to the other side. Okay, again I could go from the midpoint. I don't know why they had us take these off. Oops. Okay, maybe since that's a solid it won't find it, so let's try a 3D mirror. So I'm going to click enter there. Okay, I'm going to right click, I'm going to pick the midpoint right there. Pick the midpoint here. And then need one more, and I'll pick the midpoint right here, or I can just go right along there. And I don't want to erase it. Okay, now I have those wings there. So now I would take and I can union all those together. Something like that. Okay, now let's say again I needed a hole in the side of this. Okay, what I can do is, okay, let's say that I want it on this surface right here, just for the heck of it. Okay, I could go change my UCS, and I can make the X go along here and the Y go along there. Okay, I can draw a circle. Okay, and I can go from this endpoint. I don't know, we'll go somewhere like that. Okay, now again I take and I extrude this, and let's say it goes that deep. Okay, now I take and subtract here and here. Okay, you didn't see much happen there because there was no change, and if I go into realistic, Now you'll see that this is one solid object. Okay, and there's that hole drilled in the middle. Okay, what I want you to do now is undo these changes. Undo those little wings. I'll just keep going undo until everything's gone. Okay, now make sure you save this. I'm going to go File, Save As. Okay, and I'm going to call it, I'm going to go to where my drawings are. And I'll put chapter 7. Okay, because we're going to need this drawing for chapter 8.